Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Build live from Oak Hill Works for the 100th time. How are you all doing this evening? I hope you are well. Yes, we are back with Linny's kits again because honestly I'm just really enjoying them. So, and well, I had 3 types that I hadn't built, so I thought I'd best get them all built. Episode 99, 100th stream. Yes, Linny, because our first stream was episode 0. Because all the best things start with number 0, obviously. And good evening, Bob. How are you? I hope you are well. My first stream was technically a test stream, so I called it episode 0. Yes, I'm a programmer, indeed. So yes, I had 3 of Linny's kits I hadn't built. One was obviously the horse box, one was the open D, and I've got a Stroudley van, so I thought we'd get the D finished and get the van built. We need cake to celebrate. Unfortunately, Paul, the cake is a lie. I am good, thanks, Bob. I hope you are holding up well. I was very impressed with your work on the wheels bits you were using that you posted earlier. They looked very good. Proof cake, it's nearly Easter. Indeed, it is nearly Easter. Portal reference is strong. Yes. Time to rename. You know what, James? Just for you, let's do it now. Commands. Bunnies enabled. Right, in theory, the bunny command is enabled. In theory. And good evening, Thomas. How are you? Nearly Easter, but I'm looking forward to April 1st. I agree, Linny. I too am looking forward to April the 1st at about 12 o'clock UK time. So, for this wagon, you will notice I've been and got my other wheels since we didn't have them last week. I've also got some proper Brighton wagon buffers. There we go. That was a good changing of accounts there. I am very well, thank you. Improved proper Brighton wagon, but they are good, aren't they? I picked these up on eBay a while ago, as you can probably tell from foremost models, who I don't think are still going. There might be. In fact, they're made by ABS models, and they're definitely not made by ABS models anymore, are they? That's not a thing. Oh, I've grabbed the wrong bag for couplings. Good job this wagon already has some on. Or some for it. Best find that other one though, because I'll need them for the other van when we do that. So yes, obviously last week we got most of this wagon built. There is not a lot left to add, which you can also tell from how little of, or how empty the sprues are. ABS models are fairly well regarded for being well researched. They are were, yes, indeed. Back down the SVR for site meeting tomorrow. First volunteer stint since lockdown on Thursday. Hurrah! Excellent, Bob. Glad to hear it. That sounds absolutely fantastic. And good evening, Alexander. I am very well. How are you this evening? So yes, what we are going to do is we are going to do the last of the strap-in details. We have literally 3 bits left to go on, which are the details for the door on this side. Almost like I positioned it round the right way. I honestly did not plan that. It's purely luck. So, we are going to get going with that. I have the glue almost ready. I haven't opened it yet, but it's at least in the right place where I can get to it instead of on the shelf. And the lid is off. And I've just wiped glue on my nose. That was clever. Don't do that, everyone. So let's move the camera down a bit more to where I actually wanted it to be. Indeed, James, nose glue. Alright, thanks. Finally renamed my Henry VIII for Henry VII. Yes, I saw that on Instagram. Looked very good. It's only PVA, I'll be fine. Using my random bit of cardboard as a cutting mat again. One day I'll buy a cutting mat. That day is not today. So recently we had our last live stream at the original workbench, which was a significant number for something. I can't remember what. Then we've had the 2-year anniversary. Oh, it was 100 weeks. That was it. That was 100 weeks. Then we've had the 2-year anniversary. Now we're on the 100th live stream. Do I get to celebrate again next week for episode 100? Or am I pushing it a bit there? Hope it's not super glue. No, Bob. Just a bit of PVA on the outside. Cutting mat. Yeah, one day, James. I've fudged up a rub down transfer. Look, I'll be painting this bit on. Oh, no, that's not good, Matt. Good evening, Heritage Railway Productions. How are you? I hope you are well. Yes, you do, as long as you bake everybody a cake. Okay, James, I will bake everybody a cake, but you have to come here and get it. How's that? All the celebration. Indeed, Thomas, all the celebration. Need to do another celebration soon, 400 subscribers too. I know, we're getting close, aren't we? I'm not doing the giveaway till 500 though, so you need to get another 100 people in here. And I do have something ready to give away at 500, and it is really awesome. And it is really old as well. So with the glue on there, all we have to do with these parts is drop them in place where they are all nicely marked up, because Linny thought of these things. And just like that, the door is done. If I can defer coming there until I've had my vaccines, then I'm in. Fair enough, James. I'll bake you a cake for when you've had your vaccines, because having your vaccines is also worth celebrating. Although I was really ill after my one, so hopefully you won't be. Well, thank you. Excellent. Glad to hear it. It's going to be party central of all the celebrations. Indeed it is. Careful, travel restrictions end tonight. Good point, yeah. Not have cake and be safe, or have cake and end up on a train full of people. No brainer, really. I'll just go without cake. That's the right attitude, Thomas. Everything's well as Shea Heritage Railway Productions. There's much to be said for a spot of Heritage Railway. Third option, which is bake your own cake. That is a good option. Goodness me, that is detail. It is the best detail. Love to get back to Heritage Railway, but not happening for a while, unfortunately. Indeed, Linny. That involves effort, though. Vaccine cake. Yes, vaccine cake is a good cake. I approve of vaccine cakes. So now we are going to put the ends on our stanchions, probably. I don't know. Have you heard that one? That one of the donut shops were giving away free donuts away from COVID vaccines. I have not heard that. Where's mine? I've had my vaccine. I want my donut. Get cake at the end of that is a good point, James. Thomas, you do get cake at the end of it. Whilst it may be effort, it's effort for cake. And I mean, who doesn't like cake? My diet, obviously. But that's going well. Do I get to have cake because my diet's going well? You know, celebrate that. And there we go. That is those off. Why don't we have a get together in your garden next Sunday since we're allowed, Gary? Go for it. If you can find my garden, you can meet me there. Krispy Kreme, but only in the US. Darn. Can't remember if it's in England. A long way to go for a donut. It is rather. Cake can be part of a balanced diet. Yeah, but I'm not trying a balanced diet. I'm trying to lose weight diet. And as I say, it's going well. Some of us know where your garden is. See you there then, Linny. And there is the sound of my phone because I haven't turned it on silent. Because apparently, after 100 of these, I still can't remember to do that every time. But also, there is the bot reminding everyone to smash that like button or give it a gentle tap if you would so prefer. And whilst you're there, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell and all that other goodness that makes YouTube love me. Because if YouTube loves me, then the channel grows. And if the channel grows, I give more stuff away. And if I give more stuff away, you have more chance of getting free stuff. Balanced diet's the way to go. Yeah, yes, but James, you see, at the moment, my diet is going well enough that I'm losing £3 a week. And by this time next week, I'll be back at the point I was when I started dieting. I like free stuff. Yeah, free stuff is good, isn't it, Matt? I have given away a picture and a custom wagon so far. And you'll all find out what the next thing I'm going to give away is when you get me to 500. Losing £3 a week. Gosh, some donations to make up for that. Very good, James. Very good. I approve of your humour. Fine, I'm losing 1.3 kilos a week. And by this time next week, I should be back to where I started. Poll of tonight. Sprinkles on a donut, custard, or just jam? Depends on the mood I'm in. It really does depend on the mood I'm in. I like a jam donut with covered in sugar. But I also like donuts covered in icing and sprinkles. There we go, just like that. They fit nicely and sit just between the lines, as well as clipping into the bottom of the buffer beams. Kittens donated £3. Thank you for the donation. It's interesting that it says on screen £3 and in my notifications £3 and in the chat $3. That's a very confused Streamlabs. I heard the whistle. I only know it went off because I heard the whistle. Did it really not play the whistle your end? That's very disappointing. It should play it on your... That's really... Hang on, I can replay these. Let me try that. Try replaying that. I got the whistle again when I replayed it. Did anyone else get it? And yes, that does mean it puts all the text back. Still sort of how strange. I wonder if Streamlabs is muting itself out because of my background noise thing. Because obviously it knows it's making the noise. How very strange. This is what happens when Streamlabs does updates, you know. I actually faintly heard the whistle. Well, hey, thank you, Tom. And good evening. How are you? I hope you are well. Look, let's try. I'm going to point the microphone at the laptop and do it again. Let's see what happens then. Did you get it then when I was pointing the microphone at the laptop? I hope you did. Because the whole point of the whistle is for you to hear it. Faintly. Nope, that's... Oh yes, very, very, very faint. Turn up the sound and could just about hear it in the background. I heard nothing. That's really annoying. I'm going to have to look into that again for next week. That has annoyed. Must be an audio output issue. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Indeed, it must. Because Streamlabs is supposed to play it to me, but also play it through itself and to the stream. So it shouldn't have to rely on you hearing the laptop make noise. That's really irritating. So all we have left to add to this is the brakes, the buffers, the couplings and the wheels. Which sounds like a lot, but when you consider the wheels aren't dropping, the couplings are already made and the buffers are dropping, it's only 2 parts. And I think we should add the wheels before we add the brakes. And before we add the wheels, we should add the couplings. I spent ages on Friday converting a load of wagons to EM gauge. Ugh, EM gauge. I believe these work in EM gauge. Recent memories of 176 scale wheels. Indeed. That's okay, it did go through. That's a little bit tight. Much harder work. Yes. It's alright if you've got ones that are dropping. I've converted a lot of stuff from EM gauge in the past, which is decidedly easier than converting it to EM gauge. Well, depends on how it's done. It's so tight that the spring doesn't even go all the way to the back of the headstock. Even harder if you go for P4, indeed. But if I was going for fine scale, I would go P4. Wagons aren't too bad, it's mostly just dropping in replacement wheels, although some filing was necessary on some types. Yes, I can imagine it was. These require some work to do into EM or P4 because of how the wheels are on them. I shall be covering that in an upcoming video, hopefully very, very soon. That's what I was trying to say, which is where the extra very came from. Yeah, but I'm used to this on certain things, Linny. I'm used to playing with it. Sounds like far too much effort than it's worth going EM and P4. I mean, that's been my opinion. Can you cut half the spring off? In theory, I could not use the spring, but I don't like not using the spring. So, like, if it were a case of I couldn't get that on there, I would just bend this arm round onto the back of the headstock. So my main contribution to the club layout in locomotive terms will be diesels. Good plan, James. Good plan. Should look forward to upcoming videos. I am glad you should look forward to upcoming videos. I have most of the parts I need for that video. I've got some more bits that should be arriving on tomorrow. And then I've got a couple of bits I need to order when I get paid. Once that's done, I'm hoping to get a video and a live stream out of them. There we go, it's in. It's just not quite in enough. It's caught on the spring on the other side. There we go. It's in. Still believe P4 isn't worth the effort. I can see your point, Alex. I have stuck to that. I like it, but I'm not willing to go to the effort. It can be frustrating at times, but if you enjoy the process of it, it can be very satisfying. Well, yes, very good point. This match shows some people quite enjoy the challenge, take quite pride in better appearance. Nice exhibition layout in EM P4 can look excellent. Indeed, it can. For my planned 176 scale home layout, I do not think that the effort reward ratio makes EM worth my own purposes. And that makes perfect sense. So now we need to drop the wheels in, then we can put the brakes on, because of course we want the brakes to line up. I don't think that my skill level is up to converting lots of outside cylinder steam locomotives to EM or P4. Again, if you don't feel you can do it, that's a very good reason to not do it. There we go. Once these wheels are in, they're never coming back out. Because, of course, these wagons are MDF. They will bend the once. They might not bend again. But they do run beautifully. And you'll notice she's not rolling around this time. It's almost like I've levelled out my bit of glass. Also want to have the layout working with my expected time span. They're very good, James, yes. Can't be finding out too much fat for my personal use. That's look nice, I just think it's far above myself. I think most people take that view, including club layout, where other people can do most of the work. It's a little different. Indeed it is, James. Proof of level glass. That there is a P4 layout I have helped out at exhibitions, and it's an absolutely fantastic layout. It looks brilliant. It is called Sanford and Banwell. You will see it places, it's in magazines and such forth. So it's of a green persuasion, I'll bring myself to say that. DCC sound P4. And it is very nice. 1930s, I think, might be 40s. No, it's not olive green. So we want that side facing out because it's got more detail on it. And it lines up rather nicely with the wheel there. Put my finger behind it, but there you go. See, it lines up very nicely with the wheel there. Sister wagon where one of the sole bars has a little stub for mounting the brake lever on one side. It doesn't appear to be. Both sole bars look identical. Oh no, they're not. It's there. Look, it's there. That bit, isn't it? It can't be that bit. That bit's the wrong side, isn't it? No, maybe. Yes, no. Yes, I am correct. See, I do know what I'm doing occasionally. '90-30s period of my 1/70 scale layout will be set. It's a nice period. Short breakers on the other side of through the line knuckle wheels. Did you know I have a Twitter account? You do now. There's a link to it. So just correct hydration. Remember, kids, come off the coaster. Hydration is important. At least you have instructions for the van. No, I don't. Just because they exist doesn't mean I have them, Lily. And good evening, Paderborn. How are you? I hope you are well. Instructions are always handy. You are quite correct, Paul. However, that these kits never made it to general release or had instructions drawn up for them. I believe Linny once gave someone, well, when someone was buying a kit, told them, yes, you can buy the kit, although it's not actually ready yet. You'll have to use Gary's live stream as instructions. Do you really not have the instructions? I do. I think I have them somewhere, but I don't know where. I certainly I used to have them. I know it did have instructions, but I don't have them. Glad you know what you're doing. I normally pray and hope for the best. Well, you see, Tom, what I do is I get the designer to come in the live stream, and then they can tell me when I'm doing it wrong. Happens a lot. Lots of stuff, and is there plenty of RTR stuff available for it, but it ran lots of pre-grouping locomotives into the 30s It's the easiest way of getting pre-group enjoys with ready to run. Possible exception of a terrier-only layout. Yes. Although if we could have some Brighton wagon stock, which I've really been hoping for. That's what I want. Like when Hornby announced Stroudley carriages, great, but I actually wanted wagons. If we could get some of them when the Model Rail E1 comes out, you'd be able to do a pre-grouping LBSC branch line with ready-to-run stock. Have a Discord message with the instruction PDF. Tar. That would mean I have to open it. But I know I used to have it, and I've seen it. I've probably got it printed out somewhere. But it's been a while. Well, we want an LBSC goods engine RTR first, which is why I said when the Model Rail E1 comes out, which is a goods engine. I was quite proud of that PDF. I mean, your instructions were always good, just saying. I'm going to open up the PDF. And then bring Streamlabs back. I bet there's going to be a lot more Era 2 stockers about the pre-grouping coaches. Oh, I'm hoping one day they drop the term Era 2 or Era 1 or Era anything, personally. Of course, open the PDF in Firefox. That's what I was after, yes. It's not like I've got Adobe Reader on here. It's a very nice PDF, Linny. There's some very nice instructions there. I've definitely had that one before. And that goes there. What I really like to do, if I had infinite shed space, is model a Peckham Rye in the 1880s, but that would require SER stuff too. You just have to build it, James. You know you want to. I quite like to see more Era 1 and Era 2 stock. I'd still like to see the end of the Era system. Manufacturers could just tell us the dates that things are suitable for. So nice C2 or K or both would be a joy. They would, you are quite correct. I approved nice PDFs. I wonder what you would have instead of Era 1, Era 2 and so on. Dates. Feel free to screen share the instructions if you want. That would require me setting up Streamlabs to allow me to screen share. It's much more cutting plan, quite dates. I prefer figs, but actual numbers, standardised world over for over 1,000 years. Exactly, because you see the things, all this stuff along the back here. So the B1, the horse box, these carriages, those are all Era 1. As is Stephenson's rocket. I assure you there's a big difference between Stephenson's rocket and Southsea here. And they definitely wouldn't have run together. Dates for each model when it was in active service. Yeah, exactly, Paul. That is what I would like to see. I have a friend with a tattoo with a fig, the fruit labelled Fig 1. Brilliant. I approve of that humour. $18.30 is not the same as $18.80. Indeed it isn't. I approve of Linny's friend. Yeah, that is good. That is a good humour. Era system over here too, but different dates, of course. Yes. Someone mentioned the German era system on RMWeb the other day. They were of the impression that it was designed to allow them to gloss over some certain dates a bit easier. I'm not sure how true that is, but that is what they said. 1830 isn't the same as 1850. Indeed, it is not. Drop that one back in there because we only need 4 buffers. That's the reason he's my friend. Yes, I can see also a computer keyboard should have a not equal sign. Only a programmer would understand exclamation mark equals. I quite agree, James, yes. And I do understand exclamation mark equals, so that's good. Don't mention the war. Exactly. And there goes a bit of sprue that these for some reason have despite not being attached to a sprue. And we're going to see how well they go into the holes on Linny's kits. Better than expected. Would you look at that? Unsprung buffers, yes, at least for the time being. The long-term aim will be to cut the heads off these, drill through them, and put sprung buffers in. But for now, yes, unsprung buffers. Now to see if the other 3 fit. Isn't it lovely when stuff fits where it belongs? Indeed it is, Paul. Interesting plan. I do intend on, like, I've got enough of these that I have a plan. I did originally, when I first bought them, intend on trying to modify them and cast them in, and so that I could do resin casts of the buffer housings for making sprung buffers with. But now that I've got the 3D printer, I might as well just 3D printer. No, this wagon wasn't designed for those buffers. Very good point. This wagon was not designed for these buffers. This is just convenient things being convenient. It would have been designed for these ones, would it not, Lily? Which are the Bachmann ones that the horse box has, and the other horse box will also get. The fact that they fit is a bonus. It is indeed. I approve of serendipity, as do I. I approve of occasionally saying words that I can say. It would, yes. See, I know things, me. I'm not in advertiser mode because these aren't kits that are going back into production anymore. Or shill mode, as I imagine Mr. Mole would call it. Advertiser mode is, of course, where I would be mentioning all these little details and building it as designed. But look at that, they all fit. Shame I'd be in the market for some NER wagons, but there were never NER wagons in the range. But they all fit, so we can take them all out and super glue them, and then we have a finished wagon. Just looked at the Germany epoch system. Era 1 goes up to 25 and the eras overlap. Interesting. What was there anything significant that happened in 25 to end the era there? That's the perfect opportunity to make some. Well, Paul, if you really want something, you can always make them yourself. I'm sure no one would mind if you came out with a range of laser cut NER wagons. Does this wagon not require any painting, weathering or further detailing? It wants painting, yes. It wants painting in grey, it wants LBSC transfers on it. And eventually weathering. But I haven't got round to weathering any of my stock yet. When I said finished, I purely meant as per the build rather than finished. Maybe a removable load? Yes, very likely a removable load at some point. Either that or a wagon tarp over the top of it. I've got a few of them. And the bot wants, again, to remind us that hydration is important. Are you planning on wagon loads for these? At some point, yes. They need to get finished first. I can stick some paint on it now if people want it to see it with some paint on before we get on to the next one. It would make sense, really, wouldn't it? What sort of loads had you in mind? I have some pictures in the Southern Wagons book that I will try and replicate for removable loads. I can't tell you what they were off the top of my head. Do you approve of making sense with paint? Well, yes, it certainly does make sense. Interesting, the paint is fine. For some reason, can you tell us what they were from the side of your head? Unfortunately not, no, James. Well, no, nor the front. I mean, that would obviously be the easiest part of my body to use to tell you what they were. But I'm not even in the same room as my books anymore. But yeah, for some reason, my grey paint that I use for Brighton wagons, or late Brighton wagons, obviously different paint for earlier ones, is missing its label. Paint's fine though, it's Humbrol 27. Not sure if the end of the era has significance. Era 2 starts 1920, 5 years earlier. How interesting. Very interesting indeed. been a while since it's been actually used. It looks okay, but I'm going to give it... Yeah, it's usable. It needs a lot more stirring though. There's a big clump of it at the bottom. As I was going to say, one of the good things that I like about these wagons, and I didn't mention last time I was building one of Linny's wagons, and Linny did. You don't actually need to paint the inside of them because it's already bare wood. So you can just weather the inside straight away. I can hear my DT teacher now telling me off because it's not wood. It's MDF, and MDF is not wood. I think RM Web has been fixed as it allowed me to register my email. RM Web has indeed been fixed. Yes. It got fixed yesterday, in fact. Well, that's a very inconsistent finish from the paint there. Which of course is just what we want from paint, a nice inconsistent finish. Was it broken? Yeah, yes, RM Web has been broken for a long while. And has not been allowing registrations. It turns out the thing that was broken with RM Web, or the thing that broke RM Web, was the plugin that allowed people to ignore topics. Removing that plugin has allowed people to start registering again. A new plugin for ignoring topics has been put in, and apparently everything's working fine. Convenient indeed. You may indeed recommend thinner, James. It's not quite bad enough to need it. It just needed a little bit more stirring. Now, Lily, I know you're there doing your modelling. Correct me if I am wrong. Darker grey livery with large LBSC letters had grey soul bars, and it was the everything hanging below the soul bars was black. Grey soul bars if wooden soul bars. Yes, that is correct. See, look at me knowing things. Anyone would think I'm learning. That is correct, Gary. Thank you, Matt. And well, Linny, I'm just going to say these are definitely not metal soul bars. But my DT teacher would tell me they're not wooden either. They're MDF. From around 1908, my memory is correct. Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I've probably have broken the brake shoe off. See it on the so you can. It was very, very loose when it came off the sprue. I thought that might happen. It shall get a dab of super glue to hold it back on. Plugin for ignoring topics broke user registration. That reminds me of an XKCD comic. I'm going to have to say which one. I don't remember old XKCD comics very well. And I somehow managed to forget to check XKCD all of last week. And then had loads of comics to read. Well, you know, a week's worth of comics to read yesterday. And that made me happy. Few LBSC wagons from Unique Wagons. They have the same grey colouring too. Oh yes, yes, I know who you mean. No, I've got Unique Wagons saved on eBay, but I've never actually bought anything from them because it's just I've always been scared of the price for the wagons, and yet it's no different to anyone else really. But I don't buy RTR wagons very often, so it seems expensive. That doesn't work, we'll figure something out. Yeah, it'll work, it'll be fine. I had a feeling it was going to happen when I cut it off the sprue and planned then that that was what I would do. That glue on your nose. Yes, Bob. To restrain from the I shall refrain from the paint spill command. I think that even if one knocked that tin over, it wouldn't spill very far. I think that you're right. But it's plenty thin enough to paint with. Did try to find it a moment ago, but couldn't. Darn. Back in my days as an IT tech, I had the XKCD IT desk cheat sheet up on my office wall. People used to think it was a joke. I was like, no, no, that's how I really do it. One day, I will buy the ventilation gear for the airbrush, and we will airbrush all these things, and it will be great. Told you paint should be the consistency of milk. Yet for spraying, you want grey buff. Yes, I know, but I haven't done the soul bars yet either. Yeah, a milky consistency is great for airbrushing. Excuse me, brake lever, that's not where you sit. You sit there. And now I'm going to paint over you and hope the paint holds you in place. I won't really, I'll come back with some glue later. I've bit too many Unique Wagons. The only issue I've experienced with them is their NEM couplings, usually very loose and fall out like the actual hooks. So I end up tightening them in. That's irritating. I don't have that problem on any wagons with the couplings I use. I've never had a NEM pocket problem. So it's the one whose theme is that there's apparently unrelated thing could break another thing and code should be burnt and thrown away entirely. That makes sense, yeah. I think it was something like a user with a particular login name crashing the database. Oh, you mean Little Bobby Tables? Is your son's real name really Robert? Hold on, bracket. Yeah, Little Bobby Tables we call him. Brett Leaf's gone wonky. Indeed, it has found a curious thing. The Hornby six-wheel chassis are made of plastic that likes polycement. Interesting. Brake lever should be black. I know. I haven't really painted much of it, only where I was struggling to get in here. The more you know. Indeed, yes. I approve of things that take common types of glue. Just glue two of them together. Does the body take poly cement as well? Making a large coach, indeed. Matt is making a very nice large coach. Not tried yet. Yes, I'm making both Kojak 2 six-wheelers. And I'm very envious of your ability to cut them so nicely. I was so very impressed with that. Also a very tiny two compartment. Yeah, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing the very tiny two compartment one finished. Secret loads and filing and wet and dry to fit. Yeah, fair enough. What you mean, Matt, is the secrets of doing it the secret is doing it properly. Once upon a time, I intended on doing everything properly on this channel. Didn't work out that way, did it? And there we go, it's got a coat of grey. That will do for the paint for now. What sort of non-proper things do you now do? Have you ever seen me get wet and dry out, for example, James? Carefully move it all, because I don't want to get paint on it. Looking very great, thank you, James. That is what I was going for. I've seen you get the workbench wet. Does that count? Fair enough, James. When should you be using wet and dry? To make things very flat, to get the sort of fit that Matt got from his carriage. Where's the... there it is. Because honestly, his two parts of body that were just sat there and not actually stuck together looked like they had been finished completely. Hello, lovely peeps. Hello, Rob. How are you doing? I hope you are well. Good to have you here. There it is. Why have I put the super glue all the way over there? Ticket to be thanks. Hope you are good too, chap. I am indeed, Rob. I am indeed. And there we go, Linny. The brake is back on. We'll take that out of the way for a moment because it is now time to open the box again for the Stroudley vans, which come with nice NEM mountings, which we won't be using. And look, I put some wheels in here because wheels, they're important. And that is everything for one kit. I, of course, have another one. Because the best amount of Linny's kits is multiple. Just so everyone knows. And now that I've got this PDF for how to do this, I should really use that. This is where I wish I had two monitors in here, but it's not really big enough for two monitors in here. I'm not sure where I would mount the second one. I'd like a second one, but at this point, do you have an entire laser cut goods train? Maybe. Quite possibly. The correct number of Linny kits to have is n+1, where n equals the number of Linny kits that one currently has. Indeed it is, James. I'm glad you know my usual sums for working out the correct number of something. Hydration is important, and my mouth is dry. I can't remember if ever likes the cut brake van. No, there's the problem. Neither can I. I think I do. I have a feeling I have a laser cut Billington brake van. Soon you'll have a whole marshalling yard. I do have enough of Linny's laser cut wagons to run an Inglenook. So I definitely do have that. But yeah, I should definitely use these instructions. List of parts, very helpful. Oh, we've got the nice posh axle boxes again with LBSC on them. Apparently, we start by detailing up the soul bars. Never used or built anything that was laser cut, but I thought about using it for building stations, sheds, etc. It's certainly a great thing for that. And I mean, this is laser cut. So you can see the sort, you can get really nice finished models out of laser cutting. And it rolls brilliantly. Even if I do have to occasionally push it. But yeah, you really can get some fantastic running. You'll need to decide what brake type you want to go for before you can detail the cell bars. You mean I can't just look at the look at the pictures, as it says in the first? Yeah, I've just looked back at them, Linny, and seen that. Right then, manufacturer person, when did they get their second brakes? When did they go from single-sided to double-sided? Or single? When did they go from single to two-shoe or freighter brakes? Because you've not included that in the instructions now. Depends on the liking question. Do you have a photograph of your chosen prototype? No, I do not. Why would I have that? I mean, I'm looking at the later period of the lives of Stroudley 8-tonners, so I'm assuming we're going for brakes on. I reckon you probably want one-sided double brakes. We'll go with that then. Remember, Hailsham is 1912, so Stroudley 8-ton vans are quite old by then. Freighter, i.e. brakes on both sides, were mostly a post-grouping thing. Well, we definitely don't want that. Boo post-grouping. So, I assume that means, I guess, is that an LBSC diagram, a SR diagram 1433 van? Well, Linny, is it? You can tell this is one of my early kits, individual axle guards. It's got your nice, posh axle boxes with LBSC in them, though. Relevant for my purposes, eventually, albeit my plan layout is really more passenger than freight. All mine are more passenger than freight. So, Linny, I'm guessing I want essentially these two here, so that I've got this bit sticking down. Yes? Looks like some of the strapping has fallen apart, though. Yeah, I think it's like that on the other set as well. Oh no, it's even worse on the other set. No, you want the two on the left of the sheet. Okay then. You want one V-hanger on one side, plain cell bar on the other, and that is what it will get. I notice, in fact, Lily, I only have enough strapping for... I only have enough strapping for one soul bar. and one side. Because I have two of those sheets. I have one, well, obviously I can take the other one. But if I use both of these and detail up everything like that, I have no more of these sheets for my other van. Yeah, like I said, this one's even worse. Yeah, I've only got two for two wagons. That's not ideal. No. No, it's not. But I'd not noticed that before. I just grabbed one of everything because I had two of everything. And clearly, these are not kits designed to be left sat around doing nothing. Can I recommend not fitting soul bar details? I think that's a good idea. I think the fact they're in here will be enough. I do think you are right there. Step 2. Begin assembling the underframe. Is that enough showing off the linear laser cutting logo now? Try and get you some side strap in when I can finally get back to the laser cutter. Well, no rush, honestly. I'll just leave the other one unbuilt. You never know, I might have a time when I'm low on stuff to do for streams and I decide to build your kits again. I think it's about 1 AM by the time I've cut in the last of these kits for you, and I've been at it since about 5 PM, so I'm claiming human error on that one. But I think you're allowed human error on that one, and there is a link to Patreon to allow people to donate to keep the streams running every month. Something which genuinely does help a lot. It's been a while since I've given the assurance, but for anyone that does ever sign up to Patreon, any money that goes through the Patreon or the donations is put into a separate account which only gets used for the purposes of live stream stuff. I can't even take that back out to super glue to glue it. It fits so well. I think I did the Oak Hill brick van as well in that cutting run. I think you might be right. That's a point. Oh, it's in the other room. But I could give an example of a laser cut built building. Brick van, brick hut. Yeah, same thing. You think I can read? I can't read. Well, I'm not having luck in TOS. I did just win as Witch though, for the first time. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I approve of winning, Alex. Well done. Brick van, brick hut. Yeah, exactly. Brick van will be an interesting arrangement. It's just a van that carries bricks. Quite why they're not putting them in open, I don't know. Go forth, bring the hut. Fine. Back in a second. Mafia Carriagey. That happens a lot in the when you're playing one of the bad guy roles, Alex. So, for those wanting laser cut buildings, as I said, laser cutting is a great method for buildings. One day I'll finish this. Needs some more paint and some chimney pots. But it is an absolutely fantastic, and it's all laser cut. Which Linny did for that. This was a special commission, this was. And it even has an opening in the fireplace. I needed a building exactly this size for Oak Hill to replace an old cardboard one. It sits over the top of an H&M point motor. So I sent Linny off the details for the dimensions, and this is what I got. And it's so good. That's up with the telephone card, James. It does. That's a good point, Linny. So in the website, let's get this cracking building. Looks superb, so solid. It really is. It's absolutely fantastic. There is nothing about that building I don't like. Talking laser cutting, a group of people in MRC are in the process of acquiring laser cutter, which we'll each be able to use. So I shall have to learn how to do all this stuff. I presume I won't get the laser cutter due to lockdown in Scotland. I love the slightly saggy slate roof. Yeah, and that is slightly my fault from when I was building it. It's actually a solid MDF roof, and that's me from building it. But it does look really good, doesn't it? But it needs its capping tiles putting on. It needs chimney pots. It's got a few more bits that need paint, but it is fantastic. And I paid for that as well, so you know. But I'm not saying these things because Linny donated it to me. Paid for Linny's time to design it. Gonna paint some glue along there, since I couldn't get them back out. Sag adds realism character model. Always put a wee sag in all the roofs of my buildings. Yeah, it does look really good, doesn't it? I say it wasn't a planned thing, but it worked out really well. Step 3, add the axle guards. Do we want to add the axle guards now? The V hangers now, Linny? Would it not be so your instructions say add these, then build the axle boxes on them afterwards. Would it not be better to build the axle boxes onto them, then put them onto the model? That's correct. But which way is correct? No, because you need to fit the springs in. Fair enough. In that case, do I want to add bearings before putting them on the bottom? Or do I want to add the bearings when I'm doing the rest? And what should I say about the springs? It tells me to build the axle boxes up on them before adding the springs. What do the instructions say? The instructions say to put these on, then add the bearings, then build up the axle boxes. I'm going to put the bearings in first because I can put more pressure without the worry of breaking it. Personal preference. But I really can't see adding the bearings making a difference to building it. Too many bearings. He says only having enough bearings to make one more. Follow the instructions? No. Instructions are overrated. See, that required a bit of pressure to go in there. I'm much happier doing that. Flat on the side where I'm less likely to break stuff. The instructions do say cut a slot in the floor if using scale couplings. Ah. Oh, good. Let's see how that lines up on there. No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. There's enough room there. He says, still not sure where that bag with his couplings in is. Fine. Not in that box. I have loads of these made up, ready to use in a bag, and the bag's gone wonkies. There's some unmade ones. There we go. There they are. No, but there's a hook there. Oh, well, there's some unmade ones. I might have to make them up. I think so, yeah. I do think the spring will be able to fit. Okay, maybe I should cut a bit of a slot in the floor. Fine. Oh look, there's my made up ones. My made up ones were with the loose spring that looked like a spare part. Interesting. Problem is, with the width you need to cut these, I'm losing a lot of strength to the floor. Next you'll be telling me I should use the saw attachment rather than the knife attachment for cutting wood. So it's almost like you're the kit producer, isn't it, Lenny? This is obviously back in the days before you catered to me. long as you have two stubs sticking out the ends, provide a lot of strength to the floor. Yes, I know. That looks dangerous. It does a bit, doesn't it? But my fingers are surprisingly far away from it, and now it's stuck. I can't remember what I used this saw for, but it's all over the blade. I might have used it. Keep the blood in. I will try. Size easel. Can't have everything easy to fit CL cup in, so you'd fit out it to RTR. So it's before the days you catered specifically to me. And the problem now, of course, is getting across this bit. That will be with the knife. I think I've remembered what I used this saw to cut. I was fitting some trunking in here. So I was cutting the plastic of that with this, because why am I going to go and get a proper saw to do it with when I've got this one sat here? And it looked like it had slightly melted around it all, so it was rather stuck on the teeth. And there's a warning that hydration is important, and my hydration vessel is empty. I should fill it up. We haven't had any kittens this evening. You are correct. That is our first kittens command. We did discuss kittens earlier, though, James. So there's that. And there is the last of the generic fizzy orange juice. I can't even remember what I used to call it now. Hydration is important. So there is some good coming out of me re-enabling that command for you this evening. And that is that I've already done all the Easter egg shopping, and I've forgotten to buy packs of mini eggs. Or I've at least forgotten to buy a pack for myself. And of course I need a pack of mini eggs so that I can put them in wagons to take a picture on the layout. The kids will have a pack each, but I doubt they'll let me use them for photos. Proof mini, I suppose it's one of those occasions of an O gauge would be useful. I mean, if I was doing it in O gauge, I would just use cream eggs. Yes, knife. That's what I wanted you to do. Right, men in high, just amazing game, vigilante, shot to with the mafia. Well done, Alex. That does sound like a good time to end. I definitely miss playing that with you at the end of your streams, though, Alex. What would you use if you did engage? I have no idea, James. I'd probably still use mini eggs. Can you get anything smaller? This is tough roll. So easy to get wrong. It is indeed. Most micro I just claim cold cards were fitted with black jelly beans from the black jelly bean mine. If we keep it installed, we can try and get on at the same time again one day. That would be good. That would be good. I can try and be funny after dying again and make lots of purgatory jokes. Welcome to purgatory. Unfortunately, all the seats are taken. You'll be called within the next 200 to 300 years. Definitely easier to add these now. Probably enough super glue there to do this one on the bench. There we go. Nice picture on Discord about James Pets. Excellent. I'll look forward to seeing that picture as well, Andy. We do play together. I'll tell you all the new matters. They took me by surprise. Good idea. You'll have to go on Discord and go into a private voice chat so you can tell me these things. It'll be easier. So, it's about that time where I ask, what is everyone up to this evening? Please do tell. I love to hear what you are getting up to whilst you enjoy my work. At least I hope you enjoy my work. Writing script for my next video. Oh, that's very organised, James. I don't often write scripts. This one is about computerised coupling. Very nice. I shall look forward to that, James. Need to reinstall Discord desktop app. I installed it ages ago now. I'll get around to it at some point. Fair enough. I only use the app. I never use the website. Filling gaps in brickwork joins. Ah, yes, I remember that from the wheel sheets. Yeah, that's a fun job, isn't it, Bob? Working on model rail snowplow. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Just in time for some. I use the website, never the app. See, I much prefer the app to the website. Trying to get my brain to do some more work on that B1. I'd love to see some more work done on that B1, Linny. I approve of B1s. I was gluing my chest together, now left well alone before I have more strengthening inside. Good idea. Ah, I know why that is. There's a bit of paint on these that'll wear off. This one's fine. I use the website purely because I have emails, Twitter, Facebook and Discord open as tabs. Makes sense. Very much makes sense. The only true B1, indeed, Alex, indeed. So, James, did you see the picture I posted to the modelling showcase yesterday? Because I noticed you never commented. Oh, I took it for Alex's benefit. But you would certainly enjoy the picture as well. Right. Next step is to make the axle boxes up. And then add the springs. Axle boxes, springs, brakes, in that order. I don't think that I did see it. Let me have a look. You will definitely approve. There is no way you would not approve. Need to work for the Mark 1s, far too clean for that era. They're Mark 2s. Airfix, I think. I have way more Mark 1s than that. Yeah, there's preserved railways that are jealous of the number of Mark 1s I've got. NSE action indeed. I like the Mark 1s in photos. Have a look. It's funny green colour. I'm fairly sure that was that colour circa 1990. Yes, it was. It's 33008 and it is carrying the number 33008. Repainted into heritage green and named Eastleigh in 86, I believe. So yes, it was that colour in 1990. I could be wrong about the 86. If you finished B1 design, B4X would go down well. It would, James. You're quite right, as would a proper B4. Don't need all this rebuilding. Indeed, a heritage livery. Quarter one to those included in GWR livery 47 and 50 and a 117 DMU. Yeah, and Alex is not a fan of the 47 or 50 in GWR. I don't think they look too bad, personally. That has not popped in properly. Maybe that's more my problem than the paint on the wheels. I'm not doing very good here, am I? That's 3 of them falling off. No, it's not entirely so. They look better in large logo or NSE. Nothing looked better. Okay. I also had a discussion about how NSE looked better on a slam door unit than Southern. And I stand by that as the only thing that NSE looked better. God, these do not want to stay stuck. Hopefully they will now that they're on, but they won't. As the 47's Intercity Executive. Intercity Executive does look smart on a 47, yes. The Swallow or two-tone, you're not a fan. All diesels look better in two-tone green. Well, the ones that got it anyway. Not a fan of Steam Loco liveries on diesels and vice versa. I'll admit the GWR looked way better than the LMS one on the 50. Still not a fan. Wherever it's other on the Slammer is hideous. Yes, it is. And there's a link to my Instagram. An actual original Southern Railway looked good on what would not have been called Slammed or emus. No, not actual original Southern Railway. Modern Southern Railway. So there was a VEP and I believe some other units when Govia first got the franchise that went into Govia Southern livery, and it does not look good on them. I posted a picture in prototype discussion of one. For those that aren't on my Discord and want to check all this stuff out, ! Discord in the chat. Original Southern better than modern Southern, indeed, James. Proper railway companies better than franchises. Or also, yes, but most things are better than franchises, to be fair. And there is the Discord link from Linny. Thank you for that. Smash or gently tap that like button, folks. Indeed, Linny. Smash that like button for our 100th live stream. By the end of this, I'll have been on the internet for 300 hours. It's a bit weird, that. Not gonna lie. And that doesn't even include all my videos. kittens better than franchises? Yeah, sure. I'll give you that. And there we go, that is the axle boxes done. Still loathe this habit of modern Tops copying the old companies. Trust me, there is nothing premier about modern London North Western. Shall take your word for that. Bathtubs better than franchises? Yes. Pot plants better than franchises? Yes. Think it's nice that they remember the heritage. I mean, there is a nicety to it, but it depends on how they're doing it. They're certainly not living up to it. Right, so, springs, that was it. Springs. There they are. So we've got two choices with springs. Short springs appear to have been the most common springing arrangement. That is from the instructions. And that is the justification I am going to use the short springs. Franchise never lived for a company. It's not about remembering heritage. It's the marketing ploy to evoke nostalgia. Too many reverse misaligned incentives and too much political interference. Indeed. They are only at the bottom there. No one has actually remembered heritage. The other is some marketing exec having heard a name once. I mean, I know it's a bit of a weird one for me to defend, but in this case, I'd like to mention the new Great Western, who did go to the effort of doing lots of research so that the green of their new livery is apparently the same green as originally used by the Great Western on its broad gauge stock. Everything else about their GWR rebranding has been very wrong. But there was obviously a decent amount of research went into it to get that colour right. Can I set that with the GWR, not the others? That slightly bluer shade, yes, Linny. Are they taking into account the effect of varnish? Apparently it is the most accurate representation of the colour possible. I don't know if that accounts for varnish, etc. As I say, I don't approve of the rest of their rebranding. I certainly don't think the logo they went for was right. Some of the seats on their new stock was flipping hard on the backside. I will have to take your word on that. It's been a long time since I've been on a train. But yes, it is apparently the same colour as Brunel's original broad gauge. Which is a nice touch. There is a spring. This is very fiddly. And sadly, a lot of modern trains have unpleasantly hard seats. And see, I don't do modern trains. Recently, as 10 years ago, new trains had nice seats. Even Underground S-Stop has quite soft seats for a short distance train. I approve of nice touches. Yes, I approve of nice touches. I don't approve of new London Underground stock being the stuff that has nice seats. I can't remember ever sitting down on the London Underground. Although I suppose it would not be nice when it eventually makes it to the Isle of Wight. The ITs are now swarming the network are terrible, and their product with bad rush before political lobbying and other modern trains are much better, but it's too late now. I will take your word for that. I cannot comment. To be honest, Pendolinos are very comfortable. I've never heard that. I'm not a fan of Pendolinos, though they're better than Voyagers. I'd like to try and pronounce that, but I'm just not sure how. But apparently they're very comfortable. Read the chat, everyone, and you'll know what James said. And then go and send me pronunciation guides and stuff. Because why not? Adelante. Yeah? I'd have never got that. It's class 185. Fair enough, that also means nothing to me. I do not know what a class 185 looks like. I know class 170s and 175s. LNRG, DPE, AOCs. Few others have been duped into buying IETs. The new Stanfords, the Great Anglia have just got are fantastic. I will take your word for that because, again, I do not know enough on these things. They are obviously all companies far away from me. Introduced Great West Mail in the early 2000s. Fair enough. You'd think I would have known how to pronounce them if they've been going that long. Interesting, I haven't been on one of those. I live near Great Eastern Main Lines. I have to try these out after the pandemic. I approve of trying them out after the pandemic. Are the seats cushy? We're asking all the important questions here. Linos have terribly smelly loos too. Yeah, I've heard that, Bob. I have certainly heard that about them. Everyone I've heard talk about the first have good things to say about them. That is good. I approve of good things to say. Right, brakes. So we're going for single-sided double brakes. That's what we decided. On this side, because that's where the V hanger is. So I thought those issues have been fixed during the more recent refurbs. Oh well. After this long though, Alex, even if they are fixed, they're never going to lose the reputation, are they? So we want one of these. And on one of these brake handles. Not this one, but this one. Had them called Pendawinos for the smell. There we go, it came out. Yes, the vestibule stay, but the passenger saloons are generally free of adverse odour. Not the stock I've recently travelled on, maybe it's the passengers. Maybe it's both. I mean, if it is the passengers, you need to ask them if they're on their way to a model railway exhibition, really, don't you? Ultimately, the loader comes from passengers, of course. Well, yes, of course. Maybe use lavatories, there would be no more loader. That's very true. Very true indeed. And there is the link to the donations about to pop up from the chatbot. Thank you, chatbot, for trying to raise funds. You try so hard, and you remind me that these things exist. And look, see, the brakes fit nicely. They're not even glued in yet. And don't forget, everyone, Gary's losing £3 a week for chat. Indeed, James. Indeed, you are quite right. And good evening, TB Studios. How are you this evening? I hope you are well. Welcome. You join us with another load of laser cutting. I hear that Linny is sick of me always doing Linny kits at the moment. I'm enjoying them. Something to do with diet, must be eating very expensive food. Yeah, you're quite right, James. You're quite right. To quote Stalin, death solves all problems, no man, no problem. Hard to argue. I mean, yeah, true. You're all right, good, glad to hear it. Linny just feels bad that no one else can get them just now. Well, everyone else will have to live with it and come and buy lots of them if they ever become available again. Because I'm really enjoying them. Right, what's next? Next is the body. Well, specifically, it's the ends. We want these, and we want these bits on here, which are our end stanchions. Everyone else should have got them whilst they were available, Linny. That's the problem. So it's everyone else's fault. Considering globe circumstances, I don't think you have anything to feel bad about. I quite agree. We'll turn in for the night now. Stay safe, folks. Enjoy freedom. Stage 1 sensibly. Have a good week. Bye for now, guys. Bob. Good night, Bob. Sleep well. Enjoy your time back at Arley this week. And I look forward to seeing the results of your work with filling the gaps between the wheel sheets. Sounds like I may not sleep like Christmas Eve as a kid. Oh, I am really happy to hear that you're able to go back. I too would be extremely excited. I should point out I can't just put these on any way I choose. They are curved and such forth. So they have to go the right way up. Thicker at the bottom, thinner at the top. Because of course it's a linear kit, so these things are accurate. Tie thread to the doorknob, so on my way home. It's been so long. It's great to hear you being able to go back. I can't wait to see some pictures of your flower beds there once you get them back up and running again and looking good. So now the instructions say we put the ends on and then we put the sides on, and we try not to knock these out whilst we're doing it, because that would be very silly to do that. There we go. She's a very odd looking van now. Improve a flower bed. Flowers need their beauty sleep. Indeed they do, James. Indeed they do. We're going to cut out the sides red and have them ready before we actually attempt to put any glue on the ends. It just feels like having everything ready gives me more time to make adjustments if needed whilst the glue sets. And yes, I realise it's PVA and takes forever to dry, and I have an unbelievably large amount of time to make adjustments. That's not the point. Every little helps, as some shop would have you believe. Not quite that much needed. That goes there. That goes there. And then we'll paint down the inside of the sides to add them. This is not going well. I think I have knocked the brake gear off the other side whilst attaching that side. Just a little bit off the lever there. There we go, back on. Sorted. I am checking that I'm putting these the right way up. It would be quite easy to put them the wrong way up. And it would not be the first time I had put a side on a kit upside down. And we have sides. And we have hydration, which is very important. Just in case you hadn't heard. So step 9 says we now cover those corners with the corner bits strapping on here, which will make them look nice and pretty. Huzzah for sides, indeed, Alex. I approve of sides, as do I, James. They really do help when you're making a van. I don't know what next door have put on, but it's an extremely loud buzzing noise. I hope the microphone's cancelling it out, because that is sort of its job. What you use for making rain strips and gutters on carriages, it depends on what I'm using, what I'm making the roof out of. I know what I'm trying to say. We will be covering doing that on a brass roof soon. Which will use brass wire. So on a plastic roof. On a plastic roof, have I got any? Hang on a second. It does not look like I have. That's a pain. Corners are wonderfully structured and holding the sides together. Indeed they are, Andy. Indeed they are. So, on a plastic roof, you can get thin plastic rod, and I would use that. I'm going to say it's from Evergreen. You might find it stuck in the Suez Canal at the moment. And the way I would do it is I would work out where the centre is. I would stick it to the centre with some super glue. Just stick one bit in the middle and leave it and let it dry completely. Once it is completely dry, you then bend the sides forwards. So it's there, it's stuck, it's straight. You bend the sides forwards and that gives you a nice even curve. You stick the ends. Once those are dry, you can then reinforce the whole thing with glue. Ideally, you want something that is semi-round rather than fully round. But that is what I would do. And probably the smallest you can get. Doing it on brass, I do the same thing, but with brass rod rather than plastic and solder. Made a slight mistake with this TS scenario. I've swapped the default class 350 for an older 319, but didn't change timetable timings to fit the slower acceleration. Oops! I disapprove of numpties running ships aground in the Suez. Indeed. But I just thought it funny that it says Evergreen down the side of it. I thought that's a lot of plastic strip. I did not realise they needed a whole container ship. Because I just didn't, you know, the selection in the local model shop doesn't look that big. It was a very useful tip. That's okay, Matt. That is what I'm here for. I stole it off someone on RM Web. And the bot says hydration is important. Now, there's a reason I folded you to 90 degrees first, and it wasn't so that you'd come off once you were stuck on. Very few of my ideas are original. Most of them are stolen off RM Web. Some of them are stolen off people from club as well. Surely there are better places from which to steal ideas. I mean, RM Web has a lot of ideas to steal, though. That's a bit of a weak chaff issue on RM Web. There is indeed. Thankfully, most of the stuff you can look at it, you can just, you can read it and look at it and go, that's never going to work. Circle of Doom back. Did anyone else get some lag there? Or was it just James? Oh, and Linny. Remember how last week we spoke about a certain modeler who had his layout in MRJ? Quite specifically his layout that was built into a grandfather clock. Oren might be generally an awful place, but there's no denying there are lots of talented modelers on there. Well, I'm on there, so not everyone's talented. Yep, stream went funny. Silly stream. Linny run away and or fallen asleep. Because this story will definitely be most shocking for Linny, having met said modeler. That's a big brush. It is indeed. It's my brush that I don't mind ruining with glue. All my other brushes are rather nice. Okay, not all my other brushes. I do also have a brush for doing varnish as well. Oh wait, shouting doesn't work in text form. Indeed it does not. I use a spatula for PVA. I don't want PVA all over my spatula. It'll ruin the taste of the bacon. Sorry, I'm back. Hello back, I'm Gary. So as I was saying, Linny, you know how last week we were talking about a certain modeler who had his layout in MRJ? His layout that was built into a grandfather clock, to be specific. Not something bad. He's spatula for bacon. Use a fork. I mean, but by the time I'm eating it, he's in a sandwich. I do. So he's got himself a new grandfather clock. I bumped into him in the week. So he's building a new layout in a grandfather clock. It's going to be 1950s and DCC controlled. Yeah, he's building a DCC 1950s layout. Doesn't seem right, does it? Engage? No. 7mm, James. 7mm. Hope this person using knacker clock and not destroying working ones. He bought the grandfather clock so that he could cannibalise parts to repair his grandfather clock, and is now using the shell from that one for the layout. Engage would be good for a grandfather clock. 7mm, twice he's done it. 7mm, yes. Brings a whole new meaning to time period. It does rather. sort of insane huge grandfather clock is this? No, it's a normal grandfather clock. His last layout in a grandfather clock was 7mm as well, and is still on the exhibition circuit. I can't remember where. I think it's somewhere in the northeast. Isn't that scale Captain Jean-Luc Picard models to engage? Oh dear. I wish I'd made that groan command now. Won't get a proper layout and engage will be a proper branch line layout. Inglenook. I believe it's planned to be an Inglenook, yes. This one. But his last one was not. His last one, which was called St George's Hill, was a branch line passenger terminus. In a grandfather clock. Model Railway Exhibition or Clock Exhibition? Model Railway Exhibition, James. I've just top case grandfather clock. 7mm would be really tight for the space. What was the last day? I don't know. Hang on a second. I can probably get away with this. Hang on. Because I do believe Ian retains copyright of these, and he wouldn't mind. There to hold the space. I mean, we're obviously talking a while ago, because it was in MRJ back in '98. But that layout there is in a grandfather clock. Oh yeah, it's standard gauge. It's standard gauge. No point. 98 degrees. I was young in '98. Yeah. Impressive. Midland. No, not Midland. Not Midland. Can you tell us what it is there, Linny? There is. Here we go. Grandfather clock. Layout. It is a BT well tank, Linny. You're quite right. Layout in a grandfather clock. Very early LSWR. Should have known what that was. You should have, James. There is the goods shed and the station building. And you will find that that station building was then on the cover of the next issue of MRJ. Which you wouldn't believe it fits in a grandfather clock, would you? And there is the track plan. And yes, of course, the wagon turntable and stuff did work and is there. Wasn't it? Isn't it just beautiful? To call Ian's modelling impressive would be an understatement. Of course, the wagon turntable work. This chap is evidently a genius. You are quite right there, James. He really is a genius. That is stunning, stunning. Yeah, it really is. Ian's work is fantastic. Every time he says he's going to do something, I just instantly get excited at the idea of it. Linny has seen Ian's work up close and can confirm it is just as stunning in real life. And there's a link to the Discord. I was going to cut some more of these out before sticking bits on. Indeed, it is stunning. Yeah. It is the only word for it. Where are you still stuck? Ah, there. So thin there, I couldn't see it. Ian, who may I ask? His name's Ian Hopkins. He's a member of Uckfield Club, where I am a member, so I know him through that. He lives 5 minutes down the road from me. This be Ian of LBSC transfer fame? It would not. Different Ian. This Ian is much more of a technophobe. He recently got his first smartphone. He also recently his home layout. He has recently built a Midland Railway road van for, like, horse-drawn van, which just casually works, you know, and the horse trots along. Because of course it does. True technophobe would never own a smartphone. Trust me, Alex, he really is. I have no idea why he got the smartphone. Pats Over Club has its genius model. The MRC has Tim Watson of Copenhagen Fields fame. Yet he is also truly a genius. Oh dear, frame rubber band on my end. That's not good. Midland. Someone say Midland. They did indeed, Alex. Motland and Noddy, catch you later. Okay, good night, Thomas. Thank you for coming. Shall see you on the Discords. Proof of animatronic horses in O-Gauge. Indeed, it's very impressive. There is, on the Discords, in the modelling showcase, a link to a video of the horse working. When I say working, it's a video of me pushing the horse along my workbench. My old workbench. It was the last thing filmed on the old workbench. Was that horse being pushed along. I had actually already stripped everything off and the workbench came down immediately after I filmed the video. You will have to join Discord to see it. It's not publicly visible on my channel. But since I filmed that video, it's gone back to Ian to have its motor and its steering and everything fitted. And it's just so impressive. So hopefully at some point there'll be another video of it that will be a bit more professionally done and a bit more visible on the channel, showing things like the working horse. Because, well, what's the point of having friends that are really good at modelling if I can't go around there and do videos of their layouts and show it all off for the sake of extra content on my channel? What about video in an aero park running session? But half it would be me swearing as I try to deal with scale couplings. What you need to do then, Alex, is film it, send the film to me, and I'll edit it and remove the swearing, and maybe put some background music to it as well. And then I'll put all my, like my opening and my closing on it and put it on my channel. How's that? It just plays the audio with some nice royalty-free music. I'd watch that. I'd love to see Aero Park in action. Well, James, if you go back to my Uckfield video, you can see a bit of Aero Park in action because it is in there. Pay me and I'll do it tomorrow. Well, Alex, I have recently worked out that at the rate I put out videos compared to what I get from Patreon, each video is worth £3. No, £2, sorry. So if you're doing the filming and the playing and I'm doing the editing, we'll split that money in half, yeah? So I'll pay you £1. Still losing £1. No, I'm losing £3 a week. Couple of videos on YouTube that have a bit of aero part, mainly from the other show it went to. So it does exist on the internet, probably in larger chunks than I did, because I didn't want to do the too long at each layout when I was making that video. It was by far my favourite layout of the show, though. I think it appears really close to the start of my video. Hydration is important. Before you owned it, yes, if you look up Chiltern January 2020 shows, some videos have Aero Park on them. Of course, that's where else it was. Of course it was Chiltern. That makes sense. If I were to tell you that the Uckfield Model Railway website is made by the exhibition manager for the Uckfield show, and then you went and found the Uckfield Model Railway Club site and the Chiltern Model Railway Association website, you'll understand why I'm not surprised the other show it was at was Chiltern. Really interesting post Alex running session, but I just have to look at that video if I remember. I stuck the 2 show badges on the side of the layout as a reminder. Good idea. When I got Oak Hill and it was bed, roof and steps, it had lots of show badges on it. I kept them on right up until the point I ripped the name off it, at which point I also took all the show badges off of it because it felt wrong to keep them on there. Right, so now there's another level of strapping detail to attach here. Okay. Well, we only want to sell it. It's built as challenge. He normally does US. His wife wanted to go on ASAP. Oh, it was his wife that pushed the sale, was it? Just googled it now. I'm seeing it at the show. Great layout. I operated it for a good portion of the show, Matt. Pulls out, note to self, never get married. I could have told you that. I'm talking from experience there, James. In order to stick in, how is everybody? I am very well, Killian. How are you? Good to see you here at the 100th live stream out of Oak Hill Works. His wife is an artist, and because the layouts already exist, it was stuck in her studio. Yep, fair enough. The American layout that was at Uckfield that year was also built by him. Perhaps I saw you there then without realising. I expect you probably did, Matt. As a member of Uckfield Club, I was there for the whole thing. But yeah, I was the cover operator for Aero Park that weekend, and Linny was also there for the whole weekend. Mr. Alex the Mole came down. Very well, thanks. All alone it's a centenary. I'd have been here earlier. Indeed, yes. Although it's episode 99, of course, my first episode was episode 0. So this is the 100th episode. Speak from experience of not getting married, and I can report that it's working well for me so far. Yeah. Oh, I say this being divorced lark suits me well. I'm very good at being divorced. And Tom and Matt Cook still annoyed I missed Matt. Indeed, it was a great show for meeting people. I can't wait till we can do more stuff like that again. His US stuff, his US stuff is fantastic. Again, for those that want to see it, go back and check my Uckfield 2019 video. Aero Park is in there, as is the American layout. I cannot for the life of me remember what the American layout was called, but it's in the video. It's another one he built and then sold. You like being divorced? Who are you, Henry VIII? No, I've just met my wife. God. Definitely better off being divorced. Well, what I will say is, I'll consider filming a run session, but only once I've added some new stock to the layout, so there is something new and different. Fair enough. Impressive detail on the wagon, cunning plan with the cut-out shapes. Indeed, the detail is fantastic, James. You are quite right there. And I should point out that this isn't all of it. There is still more to add. So for the moment, it's a DC or DC, DC sound indeed. XSCR vans, ML train, XS LSWR brake maybe. All very nice, Alex. Need to wait until the 6-wheel full brake comes out for the airmail train, indeed, but it'll be fun. Fun after one of those two. DCC, that's an approved DCC. DCC is great, isn't it? Phenomenal detail is par for the course with Linny's kits. It is indeed, Killian, you are quite right. Attached transition that should be centered on the plank and between the strapping, and these are also too deep. I'm very conscious of the time, so I want to get one side done and then start on the other. I get the impression these droids like have a little computer in every locomotive. I mean, yes, I suppose. Future is even better. The whole model railway becomes a giant computer peripheral. I mean, yes, I suppose. Or if I suppose it sounds nice to have, but I wouldn't bother if I was building that myself. See, my way of viewing it is, as I've heard someone else say, when you're doing DC, you're driving the track. When you're doing DCC, you're driving the loco. And I like that way of looking at it. Of course, people come along and be purposely ignorant and say, oh, my track doesn't move and I'm DC. So that's not the point, is it? That's not what's being said. Stay alive, surely. Stay alive make Terriers and P classes work better. That's true. Digitrack slogan from circa 98, I believe. Is it really? As they add TS for computerised trains. Well, yes, true. DC for me, but I do believe called RC system is the future. Oh yeah, remote control is definitely the future. No doubt about that. But it needs to get to a stage where I can have one handset that can hold as many locos as my DCC controller can. And there we go, there is that side done. Should those bits not be on the bottom plank? Let me check again on the... Yes, they should, you're quite right. I looked at the picture wrong. Well spotted. There we go. Fixed. Because hobby will have to change massively for it to become the new normal. God, I hate that phrase. Yeah, but no more than the hobby had to change for DCC to become the new normal. Things happen over time. RC is the future. Where one can fit the batteries and then get... Yes, definitely that would be rather important. In fact, I should put it on the that same amount of times transition from DC to DCC to perhaps about 20 years before it's as widespread as DCC is now. Yeah. Scale field them off rather than tweezers. It's fine. See, it's a much bigger change from than DC to DCC, though. I don't think it is. Really. And I think it has the additional advantages to make it worthwhile. Let's stick that over the end for the coupling whilst we're at it, and then we're done with this sheet. Even with all that glue there, I can still tell where the hole is. Probably shouldn't have tried to prove it by pushing that through though. Doesn't it look good? I think make certain aspects of the hobby harder for less people. You make rusty track with powered locos. Interesting which aspects you don't have to insulate the axles, especially when it comes to kits and small scales. Assuming well-developed system, pre-installed batteries and RC chip. Yeah, I mean, even without the batteries being pre-installed, you look at the stuff even Corbs is using now, I think it definitely has the potential to be the big thing in the future. Engage kits are very niche even now, true. Not forget what I said anything, I know when I'm wrong and heavily outnumbered. Having an opinion does not make you wrong, Alex. And besides, it could be all of us that like RC that are wrong in the future. We won't find out for another 20 years or so, as James says. And then you can laugh at us all. As we sit here at the 1000th episode of Let's Build. Looking fantastic. Thank you, James. Very nice van there. Thank you, Rob. Dude, I'm always wrong. We know this. Every single time I open mouth, I'm wrong. That's not true. That's definitely not true. It's not ready for big time yet. Probably won't be a few years. Need a lot of refinement, standardisation before getting mainstream acceptance. I agree, James. I agree. Outnumbered is not an implication of lost cough, Finland. You want to get that cough looked at, Killian. I heard there's a virus going round. In history, companies like Hornby should love RC. You mean introduce cost plastic track? Exactly. Really, tell that to everyone who tells me I'm wrong. Then I do frequently. The main one of them is you. And I'm telling you now. So I say, not, at this point, none of us are right or wrong. We'll find out in the future. When we get to episode 1000 of Let's Build. If RC hasn't been adopted, then you were definitely right. Still on the back there. That's okay then. Wrong sometimes, but also right many times. You're right about the Midland, for example, and the wide lines and Aero Park. That's true. Cats off. Definitely not right about the Midland. It's been proven so many times. No, it hasn't, Alex. It's all part of the big experiment. We find the answer by experimentation, like hydrogen versus electric versus internal combustion cars. Indeed, the future. Hold on, where's my shades? Monorails of the future, maybe. I think there's our. I'm not sure they are, but maybe. Midland is a joy. I approve of James Allport and Alex. You're right about the 1840s. Yes. The Midland was awful. No, it wasn't. Roland Maglev. Yes. I can see maglev being the future more than monorails. Second class quality, third class prices was not awful. True. Roll on the task. Jetpacks, future jetpacks, rush hour nightmare. Small engine policy was a myth, though, Alex. Everyone knows the small engine policy was a myth, and if they don't know that, they're wrong. Correct engines for the lines needed. It was detrimental to the LMS when they adopted the Midland engine policy because they were the wrong engines for the ex-LNWR lines. But that doesn't make the Midland wrong because they were the right engines for the Midland lines. See? Gosh, nearly pumpkin time. Indeed, I'm trying to get these last 4 bits on before it is pumpkin time. And then we've got a roof to do, really. And then buffers, and then couplings, and yeah. There we go. They are on. Two great attacks. And remember to smash that like button. The bot says it is important to smash the like button. Treat the like button like it personally wronged you. Engines were generally small in pre-grouping era, no more the Midland than any other line. Midland had decent engines on roof roofs, helped especially when it's rainy, but also all the other times, like being warm. Exactly, James. Exactly. If I just wrap that round my liquid gravity, the worst named product ever, I should point out. Two throws stay for pre-group motive power, they're perfectly good. Go anywhere locos. Midland's very sensible in using them, indeed. Midland has some delightful 4-throw compounds. He also did. Oh, good time, I had best be off. Which were good in their day. They were indeed very good in their day. What would be a better name for it? Or anything but liquid gravity, because the contents of this are neither liquid nor gravity. So, you know, liquid gravity, which is neither liquid nor gravity. I can't even remember what metal it is. And it doesn't actually say. I've got a feeling it's steel. Gaseous weak force. Liquid gravity sounds like a 1990s cyberpunk movie. It does. Weight pellets. That's a bit more accurate description. Yes. Bottle of heavy spheres. Yeah, again. Better than liquid gravity. Probably steel. Let me see. I think it's steel. I'm not sure. I think it's magnetic. Found out the hard way. That's a good point. I have magnets around. I could just put it near a magnet and we'd know that it's steel. I don't know where my box of magnets is. I'm sure it was in here. It is now, of course, midnight, everyone. It's the easy way. The easy way to find out if they're steel is to put them near a magnet. Oh, get in there. Oh no, I've not stuck the other one of those on, have I? Dull. Don't do that because it's already late. You silly van. It wasn't midnight at this time yesterday. That's true. It was not midnight at this time yesterday. But look, all I've got left to do is stick the roof on, stick the buffers on. I'm not ending. We can run a couple of minutes late. Even if all I do is push the buffers in so it looks complete. Oh no, they're hitting the soul bars. I need to lose more material than that. But not that much because that's now not tight enough in there. It's all a careful balancing act, you know. And there we go. I'm going to leave that there. So just use brow modellers, sticky ballast. Sticky ballast would be confusing. I have stuff that you add to ballast to make it sticky, so you only have to spray it with water to stick it down. It wasn't midnight this time, so no. See, my stuff isn't sticky, but my stuff isn't liquid gravity. Liquid gravity is not sticky. I have to use Yoo-hoo. I use super glue on liquid gravity generally. So I don't know what coupling choose the 1840 stuff. The scale couplings we have aren't correct for the era. No, I personally think they look better than anything else. But at the same time, Alex, you can just use tension locks if you want. This time yesterday it was Friday, indeed. So this time yesterday was 7:04. So on Friday it was Saturday, VGA. Puff was very Vanny, great stuff, very good. It's well past my bedtime. My alarm goes off in 5 hours. Good night, or good night, Padawan. Impression. Good night, said earlier. Fantastic. Thank you, James. Right, so there we are. We have reached the end. It is now 5 past midnight, but we've done it. They're both built. No, I don't care that the roof isn't on properly and that I've only got buffers on one side and that the couplings aren't actually fitted. It looks done. That's what matters. So, thank you for coming, everyone. This has been the 100th episode of Let's Build. We've done 300 hours of this now. Thank you all for being here for it. It really does mean a lot. Here's to the next 100 episodes. Thank you, everyone. I've been Gary. This has been Let's Build. You've been awesome as always. Good night.